Part 5. John's Introduction to Utopia. In the sterile, silver-lined corridors of the world state, a stranger walked among the crowds, his eyes drinking in the wonders of a society that had long since forgotten the meaning of wonder. John, the savage, fresh from the dusty, sun-scorched landscapes of the reservation, found himself lost in a sea of faces that seemed to blend together in a blur of identical, expressionless masks. The air was thick with the hum of machinery, the soft whir of helicopters, and the incessant, pulsing rhythm of the city's heartbeat. As he walked, the skyscrapers loomed above him, their peaks shrouded in a mist of haze and smoke, their walls a dizzying maze of windows that glinted like 1,000 tiny mirrors in the pale, artificial light. The streets were a tapestry of colors, a kaleidoscope of sounds and smells that assaulted his senses and left him reeling. The scent of food, a cacophony of sweet and savory aromas, wafted through the air, enticing and repelling him in equal measure. The distant thrum of music, a relentless, pounding beat, seemed to seep from the very pores of the city itself, a constant reminder of the world state's relentless pursuit of pleasure. Every step revealed a new marvel, a new wonder that left John's mind reeling in awe. The people, the buildings, the very fabric of society itself seemed to be woven from a thread of pure, unadulterated luxury. Everywhere he looked, he saw the trappings of a civilization that had transcended the mundane, the ordinary, and had entered a realm of pure, unadulterated excess. The streets were filled with strange, sleek vehicles that moved without the aid of horses or oxen, their soft whir and hum a gentle accompaniment to the city's symphony. The people themselves seemed to be crafted from a different mold, their faces smooth, unlined and ageless, their bodies toned, tanned, and perfectly proportioned. And yet, despite the wonders that surrounded him, John couldn't shake the feeling of disquiet that had begun to gnaw at his soul. Everywhere he looked, he saw the superficial, the shallow, and the mundane. The people, with their perfect faces and perfect bodies, seemed to be lacking in some fundamental, essential way. They were like dolls, like puppets, like creatures crafted from some inferior, artificial material that lacked the warmth, the depth, and the richness of human experience. Their laughter was too loud, their smiles too wide, their eyes too empty. They seemed to be living in a world of their own creation, a world that was devoid of passion, of fire, of life itself. As he walked, the crowds grew thicker, the noise more intense, and the smells more overpowering. John felt like a small boat adrift in a stormy sea, tossed about by waves of sound and color that threatened to engulf him at every turn. He clung to the solid, unshakable core of his own identity, the rock of his own values and beliefs, as the world state's relentless tide of luxury and excess crashed against him. The buildings seemed to loom closer, the skyscrapers towering above him like giants, their peaks hidden in the mist. The streets were a labyrinth, a maze of twisting corridors and dark alleys that seemed to shift and change with every step. Despite the initial wonder, the initial awe, John couldn't help but feel a growing sense of disillusionment. The world state, with its perfect people and its perfect society, seemed to be lacking in some fundamental, essential way. It was a society that had sacrificed its soul, its heart, and its very humanity on the altar of luxury and excess. The people, with their perfect faces and their perfect bodies, seemed to be nothing more than puppets, dolls, or automatons, crafted from some inferior, artificial material that lacked the warmth, the depth, and the richness of human experience. As the day wore on, John found himself drawn to the outskirts of the city, to the strange, half-forgotten places that seemed to exist on the fringes of the world-state's consciousness. He walked through parks and gardens where the flowers were perfectly manicured, the grass was perfectly cut, and the trees were perfectly pruned. He saw the strange, artificial lakes where the water was perfectly still, the swans were perfectly white, and the sky was perfectly blue. Everywhere he looked, he saw the same relentless pursuit of perfection, the same endless quest for luxury and excess. And yet, despite the perfection, despite the luxury, John couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness, of hollowness that seemed to haunt the world-state's every step. The people, the buildings, the very fabric of society itself seemed to be crafted from a material that was fundamentally, essentially flawed. It was a society that had sacrificed its soul, its heart, and its very humanity on the altar of luxury and excess. A society that had forgotten the meaning of wonder, the meaning of awe, and the meaning of life itself. As the sun began to set, casting a pale, golden light over the city, John found himself standing on the edge of a great precipice, staring out into a void that seemed to stretch out before him like an endless, bottomless chasm. The world state, with its perfect people and its perfect society, seemed to be nothing more than a thin, fragile veneer, a delicate, artificial shell that threatened to shatter, to fragment, and to disintegrate at the slightest touch. And John, the savage, with his rough, unpolished exterior and his deep, unshakable core, seemed to be the only one who could see the truth, the only one who could hear the whisper of the void that seemed to echo through the city's streets like a haunting, mournful sigh.